Pastor Roy Gerhardt from Galloway United Methodist Church in Franklin, Pennsylvania, sharing a few words of encouragement to help us follow after Jesus. Well, it's a Throwback Thursday where we're looking at the promises of God in our life. And this week we've been looking at Jesus when he was 12 years old and went up to the temple, where there he got left behind by his family. And when Mary and Joseph found him, they were amazed that there he was engaged in dialogue with the teachers at the temple, making a big impression on people who were there, and they were impressed, but they were also frustrated and wondered what he was doing there. And Jesus' answer was, "You shouldn't have been looking everywhere for me. You should have known I'd be here in my Father's house about my Father's business." Now, all of this kind of takes me back to the times when God was just beginning to call me into ministry. I gave my life to Christ as a kid, and whenever I was, heading toward 12 years old, God just lit a fire in my soul that I began to listen to preachers and just get this fire inside that I needed to do that. And that just continued to burn in a way that I couldn't get away from it. Even though I had all kinds of other life plans that were forming in my life, even at that early age, I was beginning to see my future. And it had nothing to do with being a preacher, and certainly not being the pastor of a church, but God put this fire inside me that despite whatever my plans were, it just kept captivating me, kept drawing me in, and I couldn't get away from it. I preached my first sermon whenever I was about 12 in my home church, and continued to preach throughout my teenage years in whatever opportunities emerged, and I was growing in that, and yet still, like I say, planning my life, putting those life plans together in a different direction. Happy to preach, but not looking at that as becoming the controlling element of my life. But God continued to persist, that this fire just kept consuming me. By the time I was in 11th grade, and people are thinking about going to college and things like that, which was not part of my plan, I just knew this continual weight of God's calling that was pressing upon me to say, you need to go to college, seminary, and you need to get into ordained ministry. And man, I'm telling you, there was a huge conflict in me over that. And I really deeply struggled. And there was a turning point where I finally said yes. Now, here's the thing about all of this is that each step along the way, making those moves toward God and saying yes, always had a certain element of mystery in it. Whenever I said, yeah, I want to preach, I didn't know where that was going to lead. When I said, yes, I'll go to college and seminary and I'll enter ordained ministry, I really didn't know where all of that was headed. There is always a certain element of mystery involved in following God by faith. Mary found that out. And Simeon had warned her at the temple that it's like, man, a sword is going to pierce your own heart. And there were various times along the way that it says Mary treasured these things up in her heart. That's the mystery that's there in all of these things that leaves us with a treasure trove of promises, of hopes, of dreams, and of experiences that God is bringing us through, that introduce us to the next step of faith and to the next mystery of what's God going to do next. But we step forward, we go into that, not because we know what's going to come out of it, but because we know who's leading us there. And that's why we say yes. Yes, Lord, I'm ready to follow you. So may God bless you today, and as you share his good news, may God make you a blessing wherever he takes you.